leaders underestimate the power of why. And I'll tell you, you wake up in the morning, you say, I'm going to work, you get dressed, and you go to, you're just you. But in your mind, you know things. You know what's happening and why it's happening and what the consequences are because you're the leader. You get to work and you forget the people you're leading, they have no idea. Right? They don't have your insight. They didn't have all the data that you got. So they're sitting there going, what's going on? Why is it going on? What are these guys doing? They don't know what and you're thinking, why don't they understand? It's because you didn't tell them.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
It's William Tincup and Ryan Leary, and you're listening to the You Should Know podcast. Today we have Phil on, and we're going to be talking about how do you address the leadership that was before you. If anything went wrong, especially in controversies or things that happen that maybe you just have no control over, how do you deal with it? And Phil's an expert. He's also got some great stories there. During pre-show, we talked a lot about safety. And great stories there as well. So we might actually be talking about some safety stuff. Lack of fingers.
Phil, how many fingers do you have?
Yeah, well, I'm good.
So, Phil, do us a favor and introduce yourself.
Great. Well, it's great to be here. Thanks very much.
Sure.
I actually run a company called Eagles Flight, where we operate out of Canada. We're in about 20 different countries around the world. And we specialize in leadership development and culture transformation, but we do it in a way that is really fun. You know how you go to class and you get lectured at and you don't remember it and it's boring and you don't really learn that much. So we bring experiential learning to the training, and you get involved in some really fun activities, and then we debrief them and you learn by doing. So it sticks with you and it's pretty impactful. So in a nutshell, that's it. I have been married for 50 years. Have 2 kids and a Siberian Husky.
Love it. Where in Canada are you?
Just outside of Toronto.
Oh, Toronto's beautiful.
You were going to say Alaska.
I was going to say Alaska. I was this close. No, folks, I was this close, and then I thought of Toronto because Toronto in the summer is gorgeous.
It is. In the winter, it's cold and wet. But in the summer,
not my favorite city to visit.
Actually, I grew up in California, and when I got married, I said to my wife, "Let's move down to the States. You know, it's always in your bones." And she says, "No, I'm from Canada. We'll stay here." So here we are.
And
that's
50 years later, you're still there.
No, she won that battle. That's easy.
Yeah.
Well, as you talked about, as you were bringing us in, the word lecture sounds painful.
Yeah.
Like when you say lecture, it's like there's a kind of a cringe where I'm like, I don't. So I can also see that being a part of how you train. It's like the antithesis. No one wants to be lectured to. Let's just take that off the map.
People come into our courses, they think they're in the wrong place because there's this map and you're crossing a desert, or you're politicians. They go, what is this? But once they go through it, the power of the debrief, they go, that's exactly the way I behave on the job. So we can say, okay, based on that, let's show you a better way that will make you more productive. So people go, okay, I get it, because it's not a case study or a role play or just getting PowerPointed to death.
So when executives take a new gig, they're not just taking on kind of the new job and new technology and new employees and all of that other stuff. They're also taking on kind of the legacy of that company before them, especially in their position, the people that came before them. How do you start teaching people about that?
Yeah, I think you need to really make a distinction between the accountability and the responsibility. Okay. So if I take on a role and I don't like the culture that I've inherited, or I don't like the way in which we're dealing with the customers, or I feel that the processes are inefficient, that is not a result of my accountability. I didn't commit to that. I inherited that. So for a leader to come in and say, well, that was my fault, doesn't make sense. Now, you can't say it's not my fault and therefore I can't deal with it.
Right.
But your new accountability is to say, okay, we don't like the consequences of the decisions that were made. My accountability is to deal with consequences. So I think that is really important, because otherwise you take on a sense of responsibility that is artificial. Yeah. It's not my fault that the way we are. So therefore, I have the freedom, I feel the freedom to do whatever I need to do to change the consequences, because although I don't have to live with the past, that was somebody else's, and that was their accountability. So that then means, okay, my focus as the new executive is less about what did I inherit and more about what are the results, what's the impact, what are the consequences of what I inherited, and that's the thing that I'm going to change, which then makes it more objective. It's less emotionally driven. You don't get people saying, well, I supported that, and was I wrong because I supported it, and I was on his team. And you eliminate all of that. So, okay, listen, gang, we have what we have. We don't like what we're getting. Let's change what we're getting. Let's move forward. So I think that's the first thing, which leads to some really interesting thought, because then the next thing, okay, we've got to be realistic here. So what do we have? We don't like the fact that the way that customers are being treated, it's just not right. So let's not sugarcoat it. Let's try to be transparent. Let's be honest. And I think, one of the things that I think is really important is leaders need to be honest. They need to be transparent. I worked for a guy, this is an amazing story here, but I worked for a tremendous leader, and he had to shut down a factory of 1,000 people. And I was the head of HR. And he said, I'm going to tell them that we're going to close the factory next year. I said, you can't do that.
Don't do that.
No, I'm going to bring them in.
They're going to take the TVs. Don't do that.
Exactly. He said, no, I'm going to treat them like adults, and I'm going to tell them the situation. So he brought them in. He said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to close this factory. It will be a year from now. I'm sorry, but I have an obligation to care for the health of the enterprise. And This is just not, it's pulling us down. Now, I understand the impact on each of you, and I will do everything I can over the next year to make it easy for you to find work. But I am telling you, before we close it, I need your heart. I need your commitment, because we still have to operate for this next year. And I sat there and I thought, okay, man, we're in for trouble. And I'm the head of HR.
They're all quitting today. Great.
And the people responded brilliantly. The productivity that year went up. And I looked at him and I said, that was amazing. He said, you need to treat people like adults. Tell them the truth. Be honest. Exactly, Ryan. Be honest. Now, there are some things legally you can't say
100%.
Outside within that framework. So if you encounter a situation that you've inherited from the previous person, I think the first and most important thing is bring the folks together and be honest, be transparent. Say, these are the good things about it, but these are the things that aren't good, and we have to change them. And here is why. And I think, guys, very often leaders underestimate the power of why. And I'll tell you, you wake up in the morning, you say, I'm going to work, you get dressed, and you're just you. But in your mind, you know things. You know what's happening and why it's happening and what the consequences are, because you're the leader. You get to work and you forget the people you're leading, they have no idea. Right? They don't have your insight. They didn't have all the data that you got. So they're sitting there going, what's going on? Why is it going on? What are these guys doing? They don't know what they're doing. And you're thinking, why don't they understand? It's because you didn't tell them.
Yeah. It's kind of like the safety conversation that we were having pre-show,
Yeah.
where they bring someone in like yourself. You go through all this training on safety and how to be, but why? Why do we need
Exactly.
this? And I
Why?
think that matters a lot: transparency and honesty, and the why. And
Absolutely.
you've mentioned a couple of things: leadership. You've mentioned why, and a couple of times already. And I'm kind of sensing this is important to the entire process. But
Absolutely. Well,
the question I have real quick for you, and I'll let you talk, is how much of this is, and I'm likening this to a coach, a sports coach, professional sports coach that comes on to their presser, and they say, well, yep, I have to do better. I have to do better. When we know it was the players that actually didn't perform, right? They didn't perform well to win the game. How much of the work you're doing with these leaders is press work to be able to communicate to the team, as opposed to them actually needing to learn how to handle the consequences of what previously happened?
okay, that's a great question. Can I just pause and slip back to the why for
Yeah,
just 1
go for it.
minute? Just because something you said triggered. If you take your car in to get repaired and the guy says you need new brakes and it's going to cost you $1,000, you go, okay, can it wait?
100%.
If the guy says you need new brakes, it's going to cost you $1,000, and if you don't, your
Yeah.
brakes are going to fail in a day, you go, okay, I'll pay the money.
Yeah. Right.
Rationale,
So you
being
understand
given
the
the why,
quantum. You understand the
changes the
consequences.
way people respond. And because
Genius.
the guy knows that you're going to fail in a day,
Are we
he
talking
tells
about
you to
brake
change the
pads or
brakes.
rotors? What are we doing? Yeah.
He doesn't tell you. The leaders have got to see the world through the eyes of the people. So I'm just saying that is so important when you talk about any kind of leadership or any kind of taking over a different situation. So piggybacking off that comment to your question, I think to answer it, I need to help you understand something. Every organization is concerned, every leader and executive is concerned about results. That's it. It's all they care about, results. You go to the board, it's results. The shareholders, results. So organizations are driven by the need to produce results, whether it's profit or safety or environmental responsibility, whatever it is. So if that is the case and you put pressure on results, it's not really a significant way to address the problem.
Right.
You need
we
to
need
step back
more.
and
we need
realize
more.
exactly. Everything that happens in a company happens because of what people do. So forget about results. Results is a byproduct of behavior. So if you really want to change the results, you have to change the behaviors.
And that's where great coaches come in mind.
Exactly. So
because they focus on the process.
Yeah. So you have to think, okay, what behaviors are driving these results? And how do I change the behavior? So to your question, Ryan, if I'm a coach, is it my behavior that is producing the results? In which case I need to change my behavior and learn to be a better communicator or be more clear or set clear. Or is it the behavior of the people? And I'll give you an example. One of the things that's very, very difficult in organizations is to get the full potential of the workforce. How do I get people to give me their all? The moment you go in that direction and you begin to say, okay, I am willing to give you more, does the organization know how to absorb that more? Are the leaders threatened? Do they take action, or do they just ignore you? Because if they ignore you, you're never going to give them more. So you then discover, okay, it's all very well to say, I want a certain type of behavior from my people, or in your case, the athletes. But if I get that, how do I, as the coach, respond? Because I may not like that, or I may not agree with it, or it may be. So you have this sort of yin and yang, that the outcome is a blend of the way I am led and the quality of my leader and the environment within which I have to function. So you can be willing, but the environment may not absorb it, or the environment may absorb it, but you've not been taught how to be willing. So, somebody once said, I was in a meeting once, a very senior guy was talking to 100 people, and he was talking about the challenge of leadership. And a lady put her hand up. She said, "Excuse me, may I say something?" So the guy said, "Sure." So she stood up. She said, "I have a PhD in nuclear physics. I work in a rocket propulsion lab. I am a rocket scientist. And now I have to lead people. And it is way harder than being a rocket
Turns
scientist."
out this isn't rocket science.
Exactly. And she got a standing ovation because people think that leadership, you just lead people. It is
Right.
the most difficult thing to do well.
Yeah.
So did I answer that, Ryan, to give you that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Most Americans don't, because they don't know history in general, they don't understand that the South, General Lee in particular, was 40 miles away from Washington, D.C. and Gettysburg. Had he won in Gettysburg, it was an easy 40 miles to get to D.C., and President Lincoln would have had to surrender, and we'd have two countries. It was this close. People have no idea. They're like, "Oh no, the Union, they were so..." No. Later in the war, yes, they had more people and more guns. Okay, but there was a moment at Gettysburg where had Lee taken your advice of just explaining the why, because when they went up Pickett's charging up the hill, had he explained it to the other generals, just the why, then they would have understood. Okay, the war is this. We've been winning the entire summer. All we have to do is fight another 40 miles and we're done. It's over. We can have our own country. The other people can have their country. We can do whatever we want. He didn't explain the why. And so his generals didn't believe in what they were doing. Neither did everyone else. So the question is, so that's a history lesson for everybody. Just kind of go back and look at Gettysburg, because it was this close. Now, why I bring up the history lesson outside of just it's fun to teach people history is the why is the leadership communicating, like you said in that instance with brakes. But then I want to see what you think about the watershed of everyone else understanding the why, what the military calls clear intent. So the military operates a little bit different than corporations, because everyone knows the mission. It isn't just the generals. It isn't just the lieutenants or whatever. It's everyone knows the mission.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the missions. They know what exactly they're supposed to do in a modern military. But in modern corporations, the frontline people have no idea what the mission is, or what the why, I guess is a better way of phrasing it. So how do you, once you teach, especially the leadership team themselves, how do they take that? What's your approach, or what's your take on taking what they've learned and then moving it throughout the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a great question because it gets to the heart of what the difference is between a great leader and a mediocre leader. You cannot just explain the why. Right. So there are 5 things you have to do. So it's more than you want to know.
No,
there's 5
this is exactly what I want to know.
The first is you have to give them clarity on the benefit of what it is you want them to do. We are changing from the old to the new.
So in Lee's situation, you're tired of war. You're tired of your friends getting killed. We make it 40 miles. War's over.
Exactly. And in the benefit, you have to do 2 things, which you do in your story. You have to deal with the emotion and the intellect.
Right.
The war is over. That's the intellect.
Yeah.
You can rest. That's the emotion.
You can go home to your wife.
Exactly. Yeah. And people, again, leaders, you have to understand we're humans, right? You're managing living flesh and blood. You're not managing machines. So you got to deal with the emotions and how people feel and what they think and all that. So when you're helping people understand, here's why we're doing it, and the vision for the outcome, you have to deal with the emotion and the intellect. So that's the first thing. The second thing you have to do is you have to deal with expectations. So you used to expect this. Now you should expect that. And, everybody's lived through COVID. You expect to come in and chit chat at the water cooler. You expect to be able to move freely and have casual conversations. Now I'm on Zoom. Okay, there's no water cooler. There's no casual conversations. There's no intimacy. And I'm in my pajamas. It's like, okay, how am I supposed to build a sense of camaraderie? And if a leader says, well, I don't know, we just do. But that's no good. What do you expect from me? Do you expect me to spend 5 minutes in front of every meeting to chit chat? Do you expect me to talk about my dog? But if you don't clarify the expectation, then the why is simply abstract. So that's the second thing. The third thing is you have to tell what you know when you know it. I'll give you an example. I was head of HR for a while in the company, and a lady called me up and said, Phil, you need to come and fire my people. I've got 5 people in the lab and they're no good. I said, really? I went over. She said, you see these 5 people, they've all got to go. I said, why do they have to go? Well, we've got this brand new equipment. We've got this new technology. They're overwhelmed. They can't cope. They don't get it. They're not in sync. I need a fresh crop. I said, okay. When did you order the equipment? Oh, a year ago. Huh? Did you tell them you were ordering it? Oh, I'm the boss. Why would I tell them? Did you bring the manufacturer in to do some training before the equipment showed up? Well, no. So what you did is you basically knew a year in advance this was going to happen, and you did nothing. I should fire you.
Change the entire routine, the entire workplace.
Exactly.
Tuesday on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the highly anticipated new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon. Series premiere Tuesday on NBC.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
So this third issue, which is share the vision, manage the expectation, you've got to communicate what you know when you know it.
Right.
Otherwise, the people are not going to be able to follow you and understand what's going on. So
Phil, I want to interject here real quick. So share it when you know it. That's interesting to me because a lot of people just in general life forget about leadership. They wait for the perfect moment to share information. How do they discern between, obviously it seems like common sense to me, you know it, say it. But there's got to be a process or a time that they can kind of get a feel for to share that information.
There's no such thing as a perfect moment.
Yeah, you're right. The reason they don't share it is it is not a pressing issue for them because they know it.
Right.
So if you think I'm a mid-level manager, what are they doing up there? I wish I knew. The people below are saying the same thing about me. What is Phil doing? So what do you mean? You don't know. It's pretty straightforward. So we forget. So the way you know, as soon as you know it, is you need to look to the people and say, would they like to know what I know? And if the answer is yes, then you tell them then. You don't wait. Mm. Now, there are some times, there are some times when even if you were to tell them, they go, okay, why are you telling me? I don't need to know that. So that's just good judgment. But most of the time it's like, well, thank you very much. I'm not going to do anything with it, but it's good to know. And we have a phrase calling filling vacuums. If you do not know something, you fill the vacuum with something that you have made up or someone has told you or you read on the internet that's folklore because nature abhors a vacuum. Well, if you're not getting the truth, you're filling the vacuum with error. So now, as a leader, because I waited, I got to undo the error and refill the vacuum with truth. You better
Too much
just
work.
tell them right away.
Yeah, it's looking through the eyes of the people that you work with and
Yes.
that work for you, and just and again having empathy and understanding. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what they need to know. And again, if they don't action, they don't need to action it. I mean, like in the case of the equipment being ordered, they don't need to do anything with that. But the fact that there's no surprises
Exactly.
makes me happy because, hey, listen, we talked about it a year ago. The manufacturer came in, they've done 2-3 trainings. There's no surprises here. Nobody's surprised.
And they're trained and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, in that situation, I would assume you're building excitement as well in the workplace. We're getting new equipment, right?
You're not creating, Ryan. If not excitement, you're not creating a void. Right. Because in communications, they have a thing that's if you don't tell your story, someone else will.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. There's a void there, and instead of having that be filled with some other stuff that you have to undo.
Yeah.
This would be an easy situation to say, no, they knew, they're trained, they're excited, or not excited. Even if they're not excited, at least they're not, in this particular instance, at least they're not fighting technology.
Right.
And to your point, Ryan, the excitement addresses the human emotional component too.
Right.
So you get the intellectual, Willem, you were saying train them.
Right.
And you get the excitement, you get the two together, you're golden. Now, something you just said there, William, triggered a thought, which is I'm off my 5 points for a minute.
It's okay. We'll give that to you. You're on 3. I know that there's 2 more. We're good.
That's okay. Leaders, what a 360 feedback is where I get feedback from my direct reports.
Right.
And executives will come to me and say, okay, Phil, I got this feedback. And some people rate me a 5, and some people rate me a 2.
They're not even thinking about the people that rated them a 5. That's a given. That's a given. Of course I'm a 5.
I say, well, here's the deal. The people that rated you a 5 align with your style.
Yeah.
You're factual and they're factual or whatever. The people that rated you a 2 do not align with your style. They like lots of detail and they like to talk about it, and you don't like that. Right. So your styles are incompatible, and therefore they rate you as less effective. To which the leader will say, yeah, well, I don't know what I should do about that. I go, well, then you should get out of leadership. Because the issue of leadership, you must learn to adapt your style to your various types of folks that you are leading. They're not going to adapt to you.
Which means you also have to know how they want that.
Exactly.
How do you want your feedback? I was just going to say that. Exactly. How do you want your feedback?
When do you want it? How much detail? Or do you want a lot of emotion, a lot of... You mean to tell me I got to do all that? Well, you do if you want to be a great leader.
Well, Ryan, this gets back to your coach-player deal. Because there's in most group sports, there's the coach that can basically say, what talent do I have? Great. Now create a style and then go. And then there's also coaches that have a process. They have a style, and either players fit it or they jettison them.
Right.
And I think the most effective coaches over time in all kind of group sports are the ones that basically look at the talent and go, okay, what do I have? Okay. Yeah, I can work with this.
Or you accept what you have, knowing that some of them you're not going to get your best work from. Then I go, but that's irresponsible. The board is paying you to get the best work out of everybody, so adapt. It's like,
Phil, how many leaders misunderstand their role? Like to the core.
You could have just stopped that at leadership.
Yeah.
I would say.
And what I mean by that is how many, like they come in and they say, I need to increase revenues by X amount versus, and I don't really care about the people. Versus a leader that comes in and says, I'm really going to care about my people. The board's there. I get it. We're going to do it this way. How, of the leaders you work with, where do they fall?
80% are in the, I don't really feel my job is to release human potential.
100%.
Maybe even 85%. I spend more of my time saying your job is to release human potential than it is to be a good communicator.
Yep.
because if I see your potential and I release it in the company, I get ideas, I get innovation, I get involvement, I get contributions, I get improvement, all of which drives the organization forward. Now,
Right.
I need to be a good communicator. I need those things too. But those are weapons that I use to enable me to let you be as good as you possibly can be. So that's like the holy grail of leaders. The greatest leaders are more concerned about making you great and how do they do that than anything else. But that's few and far between. And it's not their fault, because typically, if you're a leader, let's take an example, right? I start my career and I'm working out on the highway and I dig the ditches. And then I get promoted, I get to operate the backhoe. Well, that's cool. Now I get to actually teach the guy that's doing the ditch digging. Then I get promoted again and I get to hire the guys working in the backhoe. And I get to do a little bit of analysis. So over my career, I get promoted because of the things that I do with things, not with people, but with things. And then all of a sudden, I become a relatively significant leader. And now I'm spending more time managing people than things. But how did I get there? By being good at managing things. So I apply the same principles that made me good at managing things to managing people. Tell you what to do, fix this, do that. Okay, but people are not machines. So my career now, as I get promoted, I'm using skills in my early career that have no relevance to what I now need to do as a people leader. So I meet a senior executive, I say, you need to release the potential of your people. They go, what? I just need to get them to produce more. No, you get backhoes to produce more. So they don't understand that. And the way to solve that problem is to start your leadership development right away, the moment you promote the guy from ditch digger to backhoe operator, because now he's got to lead. You've got to begin to train how to lead people, just like you train people, how do I operate a small backhoe, bigger backhoe, group of but that doesn't happen. So it's not really the leader's fault that they're not focused on releasing human potential. Mm-hmm. They've never had a great leader. They've never seen it modeled. They know no differently, and they've been promoted for being good at managing things. So, okay. So you got to bring someone in to say there's a better way. And they go, all right, show me. If you can show me. Yeah. What they don't understand is they are missing huge productivity in the company by not treating people like people.
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.
Yeah, it's the unlocking potential. It's the watershed too. So you're
exactly.
Teaching your leaders, they're teaching the people their subordinates, and it goes all the way down to the frontline people.
Yeah,
cascades down.
You want my other two principles?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, why not?
No, let's finish it out.
But
here's the thing: if we don't, Ryan, we're gonna get emails from people like, "What are the other two things I was supposed to say?"
Well, it just makes, because you need to complete the package. So I understand why we're doing what we're doing, and I'm clear on the vision. I know my expectations. You're telling me what I need to know. But practically speaking, every single day, what are my priorities? Because they are shifting.
Right.
Now, the answer that most leaders do is, well, do what you need to do. Okay, but
thanks.
I was already fully employed, and now I have to deal with this change that you've inherited from the previous guy. I've got to do more. He's not going to work longer. So you have to say to me, okay, Phil, this is what I want you to keep doing. This is what I want you to stop doing. And this is what I want you to start doing. I'll give you a great
stop, start, continue.
Yeah,
exactly.
Stop, start, continue.
We met once many years ago with a group of folks, and we celebrated one lady who had adopted some new software, and she was the model across the country. And we went out and said, you've done a great job. You're the model. We want to tell people how well you did. She said, well, thank you very much for the accolades, but I hate your stupid software. She said, well, I'm a single mother. I used to get home at 5 so I could care for my daughter, and now I get home at 6 because of your stupid software. And the leader said, but why is that? She said, well, it takes me an hour to do what I used to do using your software, and it takes me all day to do it the way I used to do it. So I do it the way I used to do it, and then I do it with your new software. And the boss said, well, why are you doing it the old way? She said, I was never told I could stop. I don't want to let my customers go. And it was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? But she was a relatively junior person.
Yeah.
She's never been told stop, so she was doing both.
Yeah.
And it was like when I heard that, I thought, okay,
wow.
we missed that. You got to tell people, okay, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, their priorities, they'll make them up for their, and so you're in trouble. So that's the fourth thing. And the last is, this is not one and done. You gotta be doing it. You gotta keep communicating, keep dealing with expectations, keep dealing with the prior. You gotta stay with it until the world that you inherited is gone and the new world is in place. Right. It doesn't happen because you were a great leader for 2 months. Typically, it will take you a while to get where you want to go if where you started from is not where you want to be.
Well, and also that assumes that that's a reachable destination, meaning you might not ever get there.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say, is success reachable here?
Well, because of circumstance and because things change, you might want to be constantly innovating. So yeah, you get to where the static state of, okay, you're not doing what the previous regime did, and you've resolved that. You're doing everything that you want to do, and the team is, they get it, they get all 5 things, great. But there could be innovation on top of that.
Absolutely, and you build it, you keep going.
But
it's more, how do I transition from the old to the new?
Right.
And now the new is the beginning of the future, and
that's right.
You
just keep innovation. Last question I have for you, Phil, is you mentioned experiential learning, which I know what that means, but I don't think the audience has a full grasp of kind of that type of learning. So tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Okay, let me see. I have about 4 hours now.
No. You got 4 minutes. You're good. Just give us the Cliff Notes version.
Experiential learning is, I put you into a situation. Think of it as a game. Maybe I'm racing across the desert, or I'm in the Old West, or I'm managing a really cool sailing company. But there's a lot of tactile things. There's decisions that I make. I'm interacting with 5 or 6 people. I have maybe money that I can spend to buy things. I maybe have customers, but really I'm just playing a really cool game. And you would think, and people think, okay, that's just a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
All right. But embedded in the game are all the things I want to teach you. And I'll give you a quick example in a moment, so that you don't realize that. And you bring to that game who you are. It's not a case study. It's not a role play. And as a result, you get a consequence, the score.
Right.
And the score is inevitably less than it could have been. So then we debrief and say, why was it less? And they go, well, because we rushed. We didn't think ahead. We didn't plan. Whatever. Okay. Is that how you work at the job? They go, yeah, it is. So let us show you how the game was designed to replicate your world. It's really a metaphor.
Right.
So we have about 40 of these, depending on the need. And I'll give you a quick example because it'll highlight it. In one of them, you have to cross the desert. And you have to buy food and water, and there's sandstorms and superheat. But you have a limited amount of time. But there's this old guy before you leave, and he says, I can tell you about the desert. But I'm lonely. So you're going to have to spend time talking to me. Nobody talks to them because they want to get off into the desert. So at the end, we said, okay, guys, you didn't perform very well. Why didn't you talk to the old guy? Well, it was going to take time. Okay, let me put that in different language. There was information available to optimize your success that you chose to ignore. Yeah. Is that true on the job? And they go,
institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's okay. So now, because they went through this 2-hour game and they rejected the old man's input, now I have common language. So for the rest of the day, I can say, who's the old man in your organization? What information should you be using? And people go, okay, you're right. So that's experiential learning.
I love it.
I
This has
love
been
it.
so great. Phil, we could talk to you for hours, but it turns out you got like a job and some things to do. But thank
No
you so
problem.
much for coming on
It's a pleasure.
and actually and really helping our audience. I appreciate you.